There is only one solution for Britain, and that is mass deportations.
He needs to resign, he needs to get out of the office right now.
We live in such a corrupt society and corrupt world.
On the 5th of April, Turning Point UK set up a protest against two-tier policing and the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This was set up directly opposite Downing Street after the Sentencing Council had been developing new guidelines to be given out to judges. This instructed them to find out more information about those from certain minority groups before they are sentenced, and to take their backgrounds and personal life into account when sentencing. This was then overruled by an emergency piece of legislation due to the amount of negative responses that this had collected.
What does today mean to you?
So today means a lot to me because we're getting our voices heard, because we, the normal British people, are not being heard by the that lives in there. We English, we British, need our voices back. We need to be heard by him. I've never seen a Prime Minister be hated as quickly and as much as he's been hated with the short time he's been in office. He needs to resign, he needs to get out of the office right now.
I've seen so much wrong in this country over the years. Nothing's changed. I'm 70 and nothing has changed in my lifetime. You name me one good thing a politician's done, but one politician doesn't make a party.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all stick together, and you'll find that with the councils as well, they're corrupt. And the trouble is, there's people who are so comfortable within their own lifestyle today, they just comply. They sit in front of the television, they believe it all.
I do videos at Speaker's Corner.
Tell us a bit about that, actually, for anyone who doesn't know.
So Speaker's Corner was something that has been founded hundreds of years ago. I believe even Lenin himself attended in debating. It is an area where you can debate religion and politics. Now, of course, I take the former religion and I debate Christianity, but of course Christianity having commitments in terms of policy, for example, being against the LGBTQ as it is a sin against adultery, and also being against elements such as abortion and mass immigration, which would spread Islam.
Being here today, what does that mean for you?
Well, for me, I just want to point out the discrimination in the case of, for example, young men. We have lowercase c conservative young men in the education system who unfortunately are discriminated against. This might be in small elements being outcasted by the liberal predominant demographic in classes, or it might be on a big level. For example, myself, when they found out I was doing videos in Islam, in college I got threatened to be put on Prevent, which of course is an anti-terrorist watchdog organisation.
Just for having an opinion?
Yeah, just for having content against Islam. And I myself even tried to avoid inflammatory remarks against their religion. Of course, I know that these are the people there consider this religion to be from God, so why then should I insult it to then bring them another religion? This disenfranchises people extremely. So I am cautious in my content, and even to that extent I've been discriminated against in school. I went against transgenderism in my theatre club, and at the last very moment they all told me to go kill myself. So it seems like even at a small aspect, on a larger aspect, people are discriminated against for holding surface level opinions on conservatism.
What was that?
Make Canada the 51st state of America.
Why should that happen?
I just don't like the person that's in charge now.
If you had to narrow it down to the three main problems in our country right now, what would they be?
Immigration, Islamification and communism rising.
Does all of that scare you?
I wouldn't say it scares me because I know that the British people will not let it happen. Our country will not be ran under Sharia law. It will not happen. We will not let it happen. We will fight back against the jihadists. It will not happen.
And what do you say to the people that would say that is racist to say?
I would say, f*** you too.
We saw Starmer blatantly lie in the Oval Office in front of Trump and Vance. And he lied to the world. And
Are you referring to about the free speech part?
Absolutely. I mean, people are getting arrested for saying something on Facebook.
Politically wise, that obviously the crossover from you being Christian. Would you say that something like UKIP appeals to you because of their Christian values?
Yeah, I mean, I'd still need to investigate their, of course, economic policy until I give a full support of them. But certainly the boots on the ground tactic that they have at Turning Point and in UKIP is a healthy way of really engaging with younger people and also of a working class who have been disenfranchised by big government. I don't think there is an alternative that can actually be voted in. So we really need to back small parties like UKIP. We really need to support small parties like this so we can at least diversify the pool of political parties to whom the public can actually support.
It's all a lie because what he promised to do in his election, he's failed to do any of it. And the 22.9 billion black hole, he lied about that. He lied about free speech. There were 66,000 cases of it, when he was at the CPS, head of the CPS, failed for incompetence, costing the taxpayer 250 million in 2009-10. Well, if you could put that money to what would it be worth today? But there's nothing talked about there. It's all right having these monuments and this stuff with the Montgomery statues and everything else and memorabilia about, but we don't respect our veterans. We don't respect our children. We don't respect our elderly.
What do you see the solution being to that? To find a way to make people respect the country again?
Well, the two-tier party system doesn't work for a start. So your Tories are going to be for the rich and the wealthy and the business people, and your Labour Party now is just funded by the unions. And the unions, they're all corrupt because it's like hand in pocket. You know, I'll pay you, brown envelopes, brigade, whatever you want to call it. We live in such a corrupt society and corrupt world.
This is Nick Tenconi, the leader of UKIP, looking to make a huge change to his country. If voted into government at the next general election, he has a plan of what he wants to implement. I was able to get an interview with him to talk more about his party and the changes that he wants to make.
So for anyone who doesn't know, what is today about and what does it mean?
So Turning Point have put together another fantastic opportunity for patriots to network, to associate, and a place like Whitehall opposite Downing Street, which has been run, as is our country, by a Marxist. Their campaign of fear, censorship and silencing, we refute, and we club together as patriotic, concerned citizens under the banner of Turning Point with guest speakers to call out the nature and existence of both two-tier policing and two-tier justice. How toxic, divisive and dangerous it is, especially in a Western democratic, so-called free society. It is right out of the far left communist playbook. Silence, censor, destroy, denigrate, demoralise. We see it more and more. And in the context of today, in my speech, I mentioned that just today, upon waking, there's news that 30 more British patriots are either being interrogated or they've been sentenced for their involvement in protests last summer. An awful lot of patriots were expressing their right to freedom of speech and expression at a moment of very justifiable anger, bearing in mind the atrocity that happened in Southport. And we see the constant attack on freedom of speech. A woman who held a sign up near an abortion clinic in Bournemouth has been found guilty and fined £20,000. She's, I'm presuming, in her 60s, and she was near the abortion clinic, and the sign read, "Here if you want to talk." She's been fined £20,000. Is that not freedom of speech? Is that not freedom of expression? So two-tier policing and two-tier justice sees the indigenous native population of Britain under attack, under tyranny, under Keir Starmer. It's totally unacceptable, and we're calling it out.
And what do you see the solution being? Obviously, Keir Starmer's still got a while in office if he manages to reach the full term. What do you see the solution being in the long run?
The solution being for Britain, there is only one solution for Britain, and that is mass deportations. There is one solution for Britain, mass deportations. However, there's a flip side to that coin. We are so far fallen from grace. If you want your country back, every single one of us is going to have to become a political activist and is going to have to fight for it. So the solution is simple. Fight for your country, and that means getting involved politically. And once you have the right party in power, it's mass deportations.
And in terms of mass deportations, what would you say, what would be the criteria for those deportations?
So you've got a suspected 1.2 million illegal invaders on our land. So there's a difference between legal and illegal migrants. So in terms of illegals, you've got 100,000 in our hotels and 1.2 million in wider society. So you can round it up to say there's about 1.5 million because no one knows the number. We know where these people are. They're being harboured by the Pakistani and Bangladeshi community, Somali and Syrian communities. We know that. We also know they're in the car washes, they're on the e-bikes, they're facilitating the Deliveroo economy. Illegal immigration is largely a red herring, and it's used by Nigel and Reform and other people to get platformed and to gain followers because of the outrage over the nature of something like illegal immigration. Illegal immigration is of course a problem. These people are criminals and they should be deported. But the much bigger problem is legal migration. We are going to be remigrating and sending home those people that do not belong here. I'll give you an example. We have 1.6 million people in Britain right now on visas claiming benefits totaling 21 billion. We have a homeless problem. We have a veteran mental health crisis. We have all sorts of issues that we need sorting out. So the plan is illegal immigration ended, close the borders, deploy the military. Anything illegal here, gone. We know where they are, in the hotels and in wider society with illegals. We know where they're being harboured and where they're working. But what about those who are here legally? Those people on visas claiming benefits, we know where they are. Stop their benefit. They'll leave of their own accord. And then you've got people who are here in our jails who are foreign nationals. 50 grand a year per inmate, 11,000 foreign nationals. Why are we jailing them? Why are we paying for them? Send them home. Then there's the subject of remigration, which is unintegrated migrant communities. These people who tick a collaborative number of boxes, can't speak English, here to spread the caliphate, terrorist supporters, net receiver rather than net contributor. You're going home. British passport or otherwise, you're going home.
So in terms of, obviously, some people would then look at that and say that's racist, obviously. How do you reason with those people to say, like, look, this isn't racist and this is how it should be? How do you get through to those people as well?
First and foremost, if you present policy items like that and someone calls you a racist, you are already in the classic 15-second window. By definition, 15 seconds to work out if they're a psychopath. If they are, end the conversation. So you present these policies, they call you a racist. They're conflating logic, facts and reason and justice with race. That makes them unhinged. That makes them psychotic. That's a pathological illness that you can't argue with. 15-second rule. If it can't be argued with, don't do it. And also, why are you bothering? There's a whole army of patriots in this country. The 40% who don't vote, the ones that do vote, we're taking our country back. Nothing can stop the purple wave that's coming. We're going to do it. So to your very important point, the other day I was protesting with a movement called Disciples of Christ, and someone decided to voluntarily conflate race with religion. When there was a criticism made of radical Islam, they accused me of being racist. I said, why are you conflating race with religion? And his mind blew. Call it out. Why are you conflating race with religion? Islam isn't a race, it's a religion. It's not racist to not want your children to be murdered and by third world savages. Boom, done. Your question is really important. Know your rhetoric, know what to say. If you get called a racist and you're not a racist, know how to put them back on the back foot.
And come 2029, when you run for, obviously, Prime Minister and with your party, with the UKIP, what would you say to anyone watching who's like undecided on what to vote for? Obviously, I know a lot of people are leaning towards reform with it being rising quite quickly. What would be like the reasons that you would give to people to vote for you and put their confidence in you?
Sure. So we've got 6 missions at UKIP. All of them evolve around reinstating Christianity back into the heart of government. All of them evolve around ending supranational tyranny. Unelected, unaccountable supranational organisations that are designed specifically to subvert our culture, democracy, our faith. All of those missions revolve around protecting the most innocent within society, our children, away from LGBTQIA+, away from communism, away from Islam, away from Marxism. All of those missions involve closing the borders, detaining the 39,000 Islamists on MI5's terror watch list, declaring war on radical Islam, ending and removing far-left totalitarian propaganda from this land. Every one of those missions can be gone through in 60 seconds. If people are on the fence about who they should and shouldn't vote for, if you are patriotic, if you are a concerned citizen, if you are a Christian, if you are a nationalist, if you are an ordinary hard-working person and you want your country back, there is only one party to vote for, and that's UKIP. Check our policies, check our missions, check the manifesto, check my social media footprint. We are taking our country back. No flip-flopping, no digressing, no sidestepping. We are taking our country back and we are delivering justice to the British people.
And finally, just is there any message that you would like to leave with people to think about, maybe that they've seen this side, maybe they've watched it from a neutral perspective or a left perspective? Is there any sort of message that you could put across to someone that might help them with, being on the fence of a decision of whether you seem trustworthy or not to them from that perspective.
What, lefties?
Yeah.
So you're talking about the non-psychopaths, the non-communists,
Yeah,
so you're your ordinary lefty. So there's a few of what we call old Labour still around. Old Labour were very socially conservative, it's just economically they were more socialistic. They are now probably chomping at the bit to get involved with a party like UKIP. But there isn't too much of old Labour left. They're very silent. Maybe they're buried in the trade unions. We don't know. What we know is that the modern left has become satanic. Across the world, it is recognised. It doesn't stand for anything to do with the people, with equality. It is utterly demonic. So, can I reason and argue with a lefty? Of course I can. Are they ever going to vote for UKIP? No. Am I ever going to give them my time? No. We're taking our country back. And one more thing. The communists, and I'm talking about when people call me a racist, which obviously is dying out because it doesn't have legs, the communists were sending to North Korea. So you're supporting terrorists on our university campuses, you're here to subvert British culture, you fly the Soviet Union flag, you're getting deported to North Korea.
So if you support communism, you go into
You're
a
going.
place of that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going. Oh, but I'm a British citizen. Doesn't matter. You'll have your citizenship stripped and you'll be sent off. You watch how quickly we clean this country up of communist and Islamist scum and filth once you start acting appropriately with regards to what the vast majority of the so-called silent majority of the British public want to see. You see what happens.